especially in Western Africa, can feel very similar. But when you go to Somalia, you see a country that is different than any other country in Africa. You see a culture that is different than any other culture in Africa. And you see a group of people that don't have the same looks as they do in Sudan or the Congo or Senegal. They have a very unique look and appearance. So by going to Somalia, it helps you realize that Africa is very diverse and has many different cultures and backgrounds, and not all of Africa is the same. Number 4. Eat amazing Somali food. So first of all, it's more than eating the Somali food. It's the entire experience. See, when you hang out with a bunch of Somalis, you'll soon realize that they like to share food, and they'll just cook a big meal and share it. So that's the first thing you'll realize. The second thing you'll realize is they like to use their hands when they eat food, which again, being a Westerner, might seem a little strange, but makes it a very social experience, an experience where you really get to interact with your friends or family. And so it's a fun experience. It's not just about eating, it's a fun environment. And so those are the first two things before we even talk about the food. And the food is so good. They have anjuro, which I hope I said right, which is a flatbread, which you use sometimes almost as silverware to help scoop up the other food. They have sambusa, camel, rice. It's like, I don't know how to explain it. And I don't know the names of everything I tried because my friends were just giving it to me. There was so much. But it's like, Somali food is like if you combine like East African with Yemenis or Arabic food, combined with Indian food maybe. If you combine the three of them, but that's not even a really good way to explain it. Just go to Somalia and have some food. And that's the best way to show you what Somali food is like. And number 3, discover beautiful Somalia. Somalia is gorgeous. It has the longest ocean shore of any country in Africa. It has tons of beautiful rolling deserts. But it has more than that. It has valleys, it has mountains, it has rivers. The landscape is just incredible, and you have to go there to see it. Number 2. Learn that Somalia is not dangerous. If you ask anyone, basically in the world, what are the top 5 most dangerous countries in the world, Somalia is going to make that list. They're not basing their information on facts. They're basing their information on what the media is showing them. If you actually look at statistics and data, the United States is more dangerous than Somalia. And thousands of tourists go to the US Virgin Islands every single year. And yet, the US Virgin Islands is 10 times more dangerous than Somalia. So why is Somalia wrongly accused? Well, number 1, because that's what the media portrays. Anytime something bad happens in Somalia, it gets blasted in all the media. Whereas if something bad happens in the USA, or Latin America, or the Caribbean, it doesn't even barely make the news. They're just unfairly treated. Number 2, racism. That's the world we live in. Over 18 independent Caribbean countries are more dangerous than Somalia, yet thousands upon thousands of tourists every single year go to Caribbean islands on vacation, and yet they're afraid to visit Somalia. And number 1, most important reason to visit Somalia is to see the truth of Somalia. One of the things that bothers me is foreign journalists. I don't mean this to be racist. White foreign journalists that go to Somalia and specifically look for something bad about the country. I know somebody personally that went there and had not a bad experience at all, and then wrote about how it was so dangerous that he was going there and he wouldn't recommend it for anybody else. Yet nothing bad happened to him, and nothing has happened to any tourist I have heard of that has gone there. And so It's very frustrating because these journalists are trying to get other Westerners to read the story. And they go writing a story about my trip was okay, nobody's going to read it. But if they write a story about all this horrible things that happened and how they survived and make up this unbelievable story, it gets shared and they make a lot of money. And so these journalists don't care about the Somali people. They care about themselves and their own business interest, and they're hurting Somalia in the process, and they're lying. If you don't believe me, just look up Mogadishu, and first look it up in English. And when you look it up, you see terrorist attacks, you see broken buildings, you see really horrible things, because that's how the Western world views it, because that's how white journalists go and report about Somalia. And if you look up Mogadishu in the local Somali language, you're going to get beautiful scenery and just normal buildings, normal life like you would in any other country, because that's how the Somali people see their country. They're not fooled by fake news because they live there every day. The only people faked out by what Somalia is people that have never been there. And so you